Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at something a lot of people struggle with, and that's meeting new people,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
especially if you want to make new friends, right?
Yeah.
Um, so we found this really interesting deep dive, and it's actually from a podcast called Chat and Learn, and it
Mm.
focuses on improving English skills,
Hmm.
um, especially for those crucial first encounters and how to make a good impression.
Yeah.
But don't worry if you're thinking, oh, my English is already good.
Yeah.
I think there's something in here for everyone because we're going to be looking at some more subtle strategies that
Right.
I think
Well,
really take anyone's conversational game to the next level.
yeah, I think so too. It's
So,
about going beyond those basic phrases, right? And sort of getting into
yeah.
the psychology of connection and how to kind of
Yeah, let's unpack
go build
this.
that rapport quickly.
So they start off with the classic, hi, my name is, and what's your name exchange. We've all
Yeah.
been there,
Yeah.
right?
We've all been there.
But but I am curious, why are these seemingly simple phrases so crucial for setting the tone? What is it about that?
Well, you're signaling that you're open, that you're interested in the other person, and it's an
Yeah.
invitation to connect, right? And by offering your name first, you're kind of subconsciously encouraging them to reciprocate.
Right.
So it's like starting this little dance of communication.
Ooh, a dance of communication. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But what happens when you've mastered the basic two-step?
Right.
The deep dive suggests moving on to questions like, where are you from? And what do you
Yeah.
do?
Mhm.
Are we just doomed to forever be trapped in the land of small talk?
Well, not necessarily. I like to think of these questions as doorways, right?
Right.
Where are you from doesn't have to just be a geographical data point, right?
Yeah.
It can be an opening to talk about maybe their favorite local spots or what brought them to this city, or even,
Yeah.
if they've traveled, you can get into that. So it's about finding the story behind the facts.
Oh, okay. So instead of just asking, what do you do? Maybe we should be asking something like, what's the most interesting part of your work? Or something like that.
Exactly. You're inviting them to share their passions, not just their job title.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but I'd much rather hear about someone's, exciting project than just a dry recitation of their.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Daily grind.
It's like the difference between reading a textbook and listening to someone tell a story, right?
Yeah.
Like a captivating story.
Totally.
Speaking of stories, the deep dive also touches on hobbies and interests.
Yeah.
What do you like to do in your free time? And do you have any hobbies?
Hmm.
These can be a little bit of a minefield sometimes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I once told someone I was into competitive knitting, and
Oh, my gosh.
yeah, let's just say they didn't quite know how to respond to that.
Well, I mean, those awkward moments are kind of what make conversations memorable, too.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. But I think the key is to move past that initial exchange
Hmm.
and really engage with whatever their response is.
Right. And I think that's where the active listening comes in.
Yes.
It's not just about asking the questions, but it's about showing genuine interest in the answer.
Yeah.
The deep dive touches on this, but I feel like it doesn't really dive deep into the how.
Yeah, you're right. It's like they give you the ingredients, but not the recipe
Yeah.
for a truly engaging conversation.
Yeah.
So let's add a little spice to that.
Okay. Yeah.
One technique they mention is mirroring, but they don't really explain it that well.
Okay.
So essentially, it's about subtly reflecting back what the other person is saying,
Okay.
both in terms of the content and kind of the way they're saying it.
So if someone says, oh, I really enjoy, um, going out hiking, I could say something like, oh, I love being out in nature too. What are some of your favorite trails?
Exactly. You're building rapport by finding that common ground
Right.
and showing that you're paying attention. But mirroring goes beyond just words.
Okay.
It can also be about matching their energy level, their tone of voice,
Oh,
even their body language.
I never thought about it that deeply. So it's not just about mimicking.
Right.
It's about creating that sense of connection
Exactly.
through these subtle cues.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another key ingredient, I think, is follow-up questions.
Okay.
Don't just acknowledge their answer and then move on to the next thing on your list, right?
Yeah.
Ask for more details, share a related anecdote,
Right.
or, express genuine curiosity.
I got it. It's about building a conversation, not just going through a checklist.
Exactly.
So instead of just saying, oh, you like photography? Cool. I might ask, what kind of camera do you use? What draws you to photography? Something like that.
Cooking, you're showing genuine interest
Yeah.
and creating opportunities for a deeper connection.
Okay.
Now, the deep dive does include a little practice conversation to kind of demonstrate all these techniques in action. But
Right.
honestly, I felt like it was a bit sterile.
It was like watching a perfectly choreographed dance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like technically proficient, but lacking soul.
Yeah, totally.
The phrases were all there, but it just didn't feel authentic.
Right, and that's what we're going to get into next, because I think the missing ingredient there is you.
Mm-hmm.
It's your personality, your humor,
Right.
the things that make you unique.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to let those quirks shine through, even in those initial introductions.
So instead of saying, I'm from Chicago, I could say something like, I'm from Chicago, where the pizza is deep dish and the winters are even deeper.
Uh-huh, exactly.
Okay, maybe I need to work on my delivery. But you get the idea, right?
You're bringing a little bit of lightness, a little bit of yourself to the conversation.
Yeah, and even if they don't share my love for deep dish pizza or snowy winters,
Right.
it gives them something to connect with.
Exactly.
Something to respond to.
Yeah, it's like you're giving them a peek behind the curtain, showing them that you're a real person, not just a conversational robot.
Yeah.
And that authenticity, I think, is what makes people feel comfortable, makes them want to open up and share a bit of themselves as well.
This is making me think about those times when I've clicked with someone instantly, you know?
Yeah.
It's rarely about the specific topics we talked about.
Right.
It's more about that feeling of ease or shared humor or genuine interest.
Totally.
And I think that's what we kind of lose when we're just focused on saying all the right things.
I couldn't agree more.
So
The Chat and Learn Deep Dive provides a really solid foundation, but the real mastery, I think, comes from weaving in those intangible elements.
yeah, okay, so we've got the practical phrases, we've
Yeah.
got the active listening techniques, and now we've got this idea of injecting personality.
Yeah.
It's starting to feel like we're building a pretty robust conversational toolkit here.
We are. And remember, like any tool, it takes practice, right? Don't be afraid to experiment, to try different approaches and see what feels natural for you.
And I think that's a really key point, right?
Yeah,
What works for one person might not work for another.
exactly.
It's about finding your own style, your own voice within these techniques.
Yeah, and that's where self-awareness comes in. What are your strengths? What makes you feel comfortable in a conversation?
Right.
Lean into those and the rest will start to fall into place.
Man, this has been so insightful. So we've taken these basic building blocks
Yeah.
and turned them into something so much more dynamic and engaging.
Exactly. And the best part is this applies to any conversation,
Right.
not just those initial introductions. It's about bringing your whole self to the table.
Yeah.
And that's what makes for those truly meaningful connections.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned, because in the next part, we're going to dive even deeper into
Yes.
how to bring that personality, how to bring those quirks,
Yeah.
how to bring your authentic self into those conversations.
I love it.
We'll be right back after the break. Okay, so we're back, and we were talking about how to really make those first encounters count.
Right. Like, how do we go from that kind of robotic script
Yeah.
to genuine connection?
Yeah, and the Learn Deep Dive kind of touches on this, but doesn't really give any concrete examples.
Yeah. They talk about being authentic,
Right.
but don't explain what that actually looks like in practice.
Yeah.
So let's bridge that gap, right?
All right.
So think about it this way.
Right.
What's the difference between saying, like, I work as a software engineer and saying, I build apps that help people connect?
Okay.
Both are technically correct,
Right.
but that second one is way more engaging
Yeah.
and reveals a little bit about your passions.
That's a good point. It's like you're not just stating a fact, you're
Right.
giving a glimpse into your world.
Exactly. And it sparks curiosity.
Yeah.
It invites the other person to ask, like, oh, what kind of apps? What do you enjoy about building them?
Right.
Suddenly, the conversation has depth. It has momentum.
It's like that saying, people might not remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And if you're just rattling off facts, you're not creating any feeling, any connection.
I completely agree. Now,
Wow.
think back to that practice conversation
Oh, yeah.
from the Chat and Learn episode. It was technically sound,
Yeah.
but remember how it felt kind of flat?
Oh, yeah. Totally. Like, I get what they were trying to do, but it felt more like a textbook example than an actual conversation.
Right. And I think the missing ingredient there is you.
Okay.
Your personality, your humor,
Yeah.
the things that make you unique. Don't be afraid to let those quirks shine through,
Right.
even in those initial introductions.
So instead of just saying, I'm from Chicago,
Right?
I could say something like, I'm from Chicago, where the pizza is deep dish and the winter even deeper.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe I need to work on my delivery a little bit.
Yeah.
But you get the idea.
You're bringing a little bit of lightness, a little bit of yourself to the conversation.
Right. Right, and even if they don't share my love for deep dish pizza or snowy winters,
Exactly.
it gives them something to connect with, something to respond to.
Yeah, it's like you're giving them a peek behind the curtain,
Yeah.
showing them that you're a real person, not just a conversational robot.
Right, and that authenticity, I think, is what makes people feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
and makes them want to open up and share a bit of themselves, too.
Totally.
This is making me think about those times when I've clicked with someone instantly, you know?
Yeah,
It's rarely about the specific topics we talked about.
you're right.
It's more about that feeling of ease
Mm-hmm.
or shared humor or genuine interest.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we kind of lose when we're so focused on just saying the right things.
I couldn't agree more. The chat and learn deep dive provides a really solid foundation,
Right.
but the real mastery comes from weaving in those intangible elements.
Yeah, so we've got the practical phrases, we've got these active listening techniques,
Mm-hmm.
and now we've got this idea of injecting personality.
Yeah.
It's starting to feel like we're building a pretty robust conversational toolkit,
We are. And remember, like any tool, it takes practice.
right?
Don't be afraid to experiment, try different approaches, see what feels natural for you.
And I think that's a key point, right?
Yeah,
What works for one person might not work for another.
totally.
It's about finding your own style, your own voice within these techniques.
Yeah, and that's where self-awareness comes in.
Right.
What are your strengths? What makes you feel comfortable in a conversation?
Okay.
Lean into those, and the rest will start to fall into place.
This has been so insightful. It's like we've taken these basic building blocks
Mm-hmm.
and turned them into something so much more dynamic and engaging.
Exactly. And the best part is this applies to any conversation,
Right.
not just those initial introductions. It's
Yeah.
about bringing your whole self to the table.
Yeah.
And that's what makes for truly meaningful connections.
I love it. So what do you say we wrap things up and give our listeners something to think about?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So let's recap what we've learned today from our deep dive into chat and learn and how to make those first encounters count.
We started with the basics, those seemingly simple phrases like, hi, my name is, and what's your name,
Right.
that actually lay the foundation for connection.
But we quickly realized it's not just about the words themselves, it's about the intention behind them.
Exactly.
It's about signaling openness and inviting reciprocity.
Yeah, and we talked about how those classic conversation starters like, where are you from and what do you do,
Right.
can be so much more than just small talk.
Yeah.
They're opportunities to uncover stories, to discover shared interests,
Yeah.
to spark genuine curiosity.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was the importance of active listening.
Absolutely.
It's not just about waiting for your turn to speak.
Right.
It's about truly engaging with what the other person is saying,
Mm-hmm.
mirroring their words and body language, asking thoughtful follow-up questions.
Yes.
It all adds up to creating that sense of connection.
And we can't forget that secret ingredient, personality.
Right. Injecting your own unique humor, your passions.
Yes.
Those little quirks that make you you.
Exactly.
That's what transforms a conversation from forgettable to memorable.
Absolutely.
So to our listener, I encourage you to take these tips, and
Yeah.
put them into practice.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about being perfect.
Right.
Just focus on being present, being curious,
Yeah.
and being yourself.
I love it.
Even if those first few conversations feel a bit awkward, remember, it's all part of the learning process.
And here's a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
What if the most important thing you bring to a conversation isn't a set of memorized phrases,
Mm-hmm.
but a genuine desire to connect?
Okay.
That spark of interest, that willingness to be open and vulnerable,
Yeah.
that's what truly resonates and leaves a lasting impression.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to end this deep dive.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, every interaction is an opportunity to create something meaningful. Until next time. Okay, so we covered a lot in this deep dive into making those first encounters count.
We did.
You know, we started off talking about the chat and learn episode and how they kind of presented things, a little bit textbooky.
Right.
But hopefully I think we added a lot more nuance to that.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, we talked about those seemingly simple phrases.
Right. Like, hi, my name is...
Right, exactly.
Call your name.
Yeah, just those basic building blocks.
Yeah, but they really are the foundation for connection.
But they are, and it's easy to just kind of gloss over them.
Right. Exactly.
But we realized, you know, after talking about it, that the intention behind them is so important.
Mm-hmm.
It's that signaling openness, that inviting reciprocity.
Totally.
And then, you know, we moved on to those classic questions.
It's like, where are you from?
Yeah,
Hi.
what do you do? And again,
Yeah.
it can be so easy to just fall into that small talk trap.
Yeah. For sure.
But we talked about how they can be springboards to something so much more meaningful.
Yeah, you can uncover those stories, find those shared interests.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways was really that active listening piece.
Absolutely.
It's so easy to just be thinking about what you're going to say next, but when you really focus on what the other person is saying,
Yeah.
when you mirror their energy, you ask those follow-up questions. That's when you really create that genuine connection.
Exactly. It's like you're saying, hey, I see you, I hear you, and I'm interested.
And then, of course, the secret ingredient, personality.
Oh, always got to bring that personality.
Right. Don't be afraid to let those quirks shine through.
Yeah, your humor, your passions, the things that make you you.
Exactly, because that's what people are going to remember.
Yeah, makes you memorable.
So to our listener out there, we encourage you to take all of this and just try it out,
Yeah, experiment.
and start talking to people. And don't worry about being perfect.
Right.
Just focus on being present.
Being curious.
Be curious. Be yourself.
And, most importantly, have fun.
Yeah. And, even if those first few conversations are a little awkward, remember, it's all part of the process.
You got this.
So keep practicing and keep connecting.
Exactly. You never know what amazing relationships are out there, just waiting to be discovered.
That's a beautiful way to end this deep dive into the art of meeting new people.
It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Likewise, until next time.